Hey guys, after an incident that occurred 24 hours ago, I decided it was time to make a video like this. A lot of you on both sides of the political spectrum, whether you lean right, whether you lean left, whether you consider yourself to be a member of the blue team or the red team, are really underestimating your adversary in the event of Civil War 2.0. You really are. And I figured I would address this. I'm going to start with the right wingers, the red team. Yesterday, I was at a gun store, and I saw and I heard people start talking about a future civil war. When I politely explained that the blue team was not predestined to lose and that they could actually win, I was laughed at and ridiculed. They said a lot of the stuff you'd probably expect. They said, "Oh, we got the guns, we got the heart, boy. What makes you think the blue team, these liberal, drag queen, pink-haired, little liberal hippie in the colleges who don't know what bathroom to use can win a war against us, boy?" And I'm like, well, they've got better technology. They got a technological edge. They got an economic edge. And they also have a manpower edge. And they also control the majority of the coastline. And they were like, "What you know about warfare, boy? We got all the guns. We got all the heart. You ain't never served, have you?" And then I'm like, "No, I was never in the military." "Yeah, my point exactly, boy. You ain't never been knocked out before, have you?" For some reason, losing a fight is a badge of honor to them, but okay. Anyway, I have never been knocked out. I have had my shoulder dislocated when I was fighting this other guy after the much larger gentleman, decided it would be a cool idea to throw me. But anyway, I'm all healed up now, and that was a few years ago. Anyway, the thing is when these people obviously did not understand industrial warfare. When industrialists fight warriors, industrialists prevail. This was the case in World War II, especially in the Pacific Theater. The Japanese were very fierce in their warrior code, and they had a deep, very deep warrior ethos, as did the Germans, who were more industrialized but not as deep a warrior ethos, and Germany was by far the more formidable of the two. However, the most formidable fascist power by far. However, if you look at the American Civil War, if you look at, the Anglo-Zulu War and a bunch of the other the wars the Europeans unleashed in Africa, if you look at the Indian Wars with the Great Sioux War or the Apache Wars, the industrialists prevailed, and they prevailed over the warriors with striking with on a pretty consistent basis. And not only that, if you want to see a more thorough explanation of what I'm talking about, and if you're just too lazy to read up on history, you can just watch The Last Samurai for entertainment value. Or if you're that time sensitive, you can just watch, just type "cotton slaves and arrogance" on YouTube, and you'll get a famous scene from Gone with the Wind involving Rhett Butler telling the Southerners how they're going to lose the Civil War. Anyhow, see, this industrial output can make or break a war effort. And a lot of people just don't understand the implications of warfare in the 20th or 21st century. Wars are won in the factory, not on the battlefield. The most famous example of this being World War II. Now, and the thing is it's just, if you're thinking, if you're a Christian, one of these so-called Christian nationalists, and you're thinking, we got God on our side. I'm like, well, maybe not. Have you ever considered that God might be trying to punish America for turning from him? And I'm not trying to get all religious here, but it's just food for thought, something to think about, the theory. Maybe his punishment ideal is this horrible, left-wing government. Maybe that's his punishment. Possible. And anyway, it's just, but if you're on the right, I hope I've made it clear to you that you think victory is by no means assured. However, that doesn't mean all is lost for you, not by a long shot. And now I will get to the left-wingers. Do not assume that just because somebody is religious, racist, or whatever, that they're stupid. You may call them racist, religious, or fascist, or whatever, but that does not equate with stupid. Several of these people have very sophisticated plans of what they want America to be, and they have outlined them. And they've used several models, like white nationalists love to use Japan or even Israel as a model for their idyllic world. That being said, is a big problem is, all that technology I talked about earlier. You've got the blue team has 8 out of the 10 most technologically advanced states. However, the red team has the oil, and you can't fight a modern mechanized war without oil. Just ask the Wehrmacht, That being said, is Texas is a big oil producer, and it will be on the red team. The blue team controls the majority of the coastline, but the red team has the Gulf, which has a lot of oil in it. The Gulf of Mexico, which has a lot of oil in it, as does Alaska. And you see, another thing is that, they've got because they have the oil, they can keep their machines running. Your machines may be more advanced, but their machines can stay running. They also have, they can form some pretty nasty guerrilla movements. And these guerrilla movements can be pretty hard to root out, even if they are successful. It could take easily 10 years or maybe even 30 years or 50. It's it would just be a nightmare. And do not assume, I know I said industrialists win, but do not assume that they'll just roll over because they have AK-47s and AR-15s, and you got tanks, Apaches, and, artillery. That theory has proven false consistently as well. When insurgents fight a professional military since World War II, the insurgents have come out on top pretty much every time. I'll give you a few examples. The Soviet Union in Afghanistan, Russia and Chechnya the first time around, Hezbollah in South Lebanon, the Americans in Vietnam, the French in Vietnam, the Americans in, pretty much all, Americans in NATO, all in Afghanistan. There's just so many, and the French in Algeria. The list just goes on and on and on. And because of that, don't ever underestimate your opponent. That's a fatal flaw. Another advantage the right has is space. They have a lot of space that they can retreat into. And however, they do not have the whole idea of the food and shit. They like to brag that they have all the food. But the thing is, it's like cities that's not entirely true because California is a big food supplier, as is Minnesota. And they are both on the blue team. And Texas and Idaho are also big food suppliers, but they're on the red team. So no one has a monopoly on food. I wish I had mentioned that earlier, but they don't. But the red team has a pretty big advantage when it comes to oil, and that could make or break a conflict. And also, it's like you may say, "Oh, I went to a university, and I went to a university and all that shit. You didn't even finish high school." Ha 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 ha. I've met a lot of people like that, and frankly, I wish they would just shut the fuck up, because this website and pretty much the whole internet, like Wikipedia, all that stuff, is a world-class tutor. You can find out a whole bunch of shit on there. Pretty interesting shit and pretty cool shit and pretty sophisticated shit. Everybody who has internet access, Wi-Fi or whatever you want, variation you want to call it, has a world-class tutor, you know? And that being said is, don't assume just because somebody's uneducated means they're stupid. Not by a long shot. Anyway, I would like to say that we should avoid a civil war at all costs. That goes for everybody. We are the strongest nation on earth, and we would need to keep it that way. We need to focus on what brings us together, not what makes us different. It's like we know that there are issues, and we agree that there are issues, but we just disagree on what to do about it. But we usually agree that something has to be done about a particular problem. And however, there are a few red lines for me that would make me want to secede from the United States, but I'll get into those later. But I do not take it lightly, because tearing this country apart, we would lose the support we have of each other and for each other, by each other. And we need to stay together and try to work things out. And civil wars, to me, is the absolute last resort, because it would tear this nation apart. Millions would die. Our economy would be destroyed. So many cities would be rendered uninhabitable, and it would give other countries the golden opportunity they've been waiting for to do whatever the hell they want around us, to our allies, or even to us. And we just need to avoid it at all costs, not to mention the fact that it will cause a lot of bad blood in this country for generations. And we do not want our children, grandchildren, or great-grandchildren to suffer because of our stupidity. That being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Be good, y'all.